What's up, everybody? Rob here. So at the time of this recording, it is day 4 of the November 2014 Grand Sumo tournament. There is a great deal of tradition and also a great deal of, for lack of a better term, pageantry associated with sumo, and it could be a bit overwhelming for a newcomer. So I, as somebody who is slightly less than a newcomer, will try to help you out as best as I can. So here, without any further ado, is a very brief look and a very simple introduction to sumo. And also just some caveats because, it's me we're talking about here. First off, this is a very brief introduction. This is only scratching the barest minimum of a surface of what sumo entails. This is hardly a complete guide to the sport and the traditions that surround it, of which there are many. If I were to do a video on all of those, it would take me several hours, and I'm not going to do that. This is just a brief overview, so keep that in mind. Also, I just want to point out, if you've been following my channel for any length of time, I suck at pronouncing foreign words. Japanese words are no different. I cannot speak a word of Japanese, so mispronunciations ahoy. Okay, here we go. Sumo, in one form or another, has been dated back as far as 2,000 years ago. However, the sport was first formalized in the form we know it today in the 1600s. It originally started out as tests of strength amongst warriors, as well as Shinto ceremonies for protection and for a good harvest. Even today, Shinto practices permeate the practice of sumo. It gained popularity during the reign of infamous Japanese warlord Oda Nobunaga, who was a very big fan of the sport. It may have been him who designated a ring for the combatants to compete in rather than a simple open space. Today, sumo is Japan's national sport, with children playing it in schoolyards, as well as amateur and even women's divisions. However, the top professional divisions are administered by the Japanese Sumo Association, the highest which being the Makuuchi. There, the wrestlers are treated like A-list celebrities, and their matches are presented for international broadcast. This top division has 6 tournaments per year, each tournament lasting 15 days. Each Rikishi, or wrestler, will compete once per day. The winner of the tournament is the Rikishi with the most wins. In the event of a tie for top-scoring Rikishi, there will simply be a sudden death playoff match between the two champion Rikishi, the winner of that match being the tournament champion. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Even if a Rikishi is not the tournament champion, they will still strive for having a Kachi Koshi, or a winning record, which simply means having more victories than defeats. So 15 days, 15 matches, you want to have 8 or more wins. The matches take place on a platform of compacted clay coated with sand called a doyo. The outer boundaries of the doyo are marked with bales of rice fibers. The circle in the middle of the doyo, or the specific area in which the match will be taking place, is also marked off with these bales of rice fibers and is 4.55 meters, or if you want to use freedom units, 15 feet in diameter. The rules of sumo are actually incredibly simple. The 2 Rikishi will attempt to move their opponent outside of the circle, or to force them to touch the ground with any part of their body other than the soles of their feet. To do this, they can push, pull, throw, or trip their opponents. Slapping is also allowed, although closed fists are illegal, as well as any other strikes. So no knee strikes, no elbows, no kicks, nothing like that. Also, if your loincloth, known as a mawazashi, is lost, that wrestler is immediately disqualified. And without going into the entire rule set of sumo, basically anything that could be construed as dirty fighting is thereby illegal. So basically no hair pulling, no grabbing or slapping to the groin, and no eye gouging, anything like that. Basically, if you think it's a penalty, it probably is. The match begins with both Rikishi facing one another in the center of the ring in a crouched position. When both wrestlers place their fists on the ground, they will then spring forward into their opponent. There are no weight classes or weight restrictions in sumo, so generally speaking, bigger is better. Matches usually last a few seconds, although they could last much, much longer. On the off chance a bout lasts for 4 minutes, there will be a water break or a mizu iri. The wrestlers then return to the exact position they started from before the break, and another 4 minutes the match will continue when another mizu iri will be called. They will then return to their starting position for another 4 minutes. If there is still no winner at the end of this, the match is declared a draw. However, the last time this happened in the top division was in 1974, so I honestly would not count on seeing it. The match is overseen by a referee called a gyoji, who is dressed as a Shinto priest. When a bout is completed, he will use his signal fan to point to the starting position of the victorious Rikishi. If there is some dispute over the gyoji's decision, a group of ringside judges called shimpan will confer in the middle of the ring. This is referred to as mono-e. The mono-e, or the shimpan, can then uphold the gyoji's decision, they could reverse his decision, or even call for a rematch should the conclusion of the match be too close to call. Sumo is absolutely steeped in tradition. For example, before the bout, the Rikishi will raise their legs high into the air and stomp down forcibly on the dohyo, both as a warm-up and as a way to fight off evil spirits. Salt is also thrown by the Rikishi to purify the dohyo before the match, and the Rikishi, before entering the dohyo itself, cleans their mouth and their bodies with Chikara Mizu, or Water of Power, and Chikara Gami, or Paper of Power. Virtually every other aspect of sumo is also steeped in some tradition, which I'm not going to get into because that would take me forever, but basically everything from the ring entry ceremony that you see here at the start of each day's tournament, the payment of reward money to the victorious wrestlers, and even the hairstyle of the Rikishi are all highly ritualized. Makuuchi, or Grand Sumo, has several ranks. There are also ranks in the lower divisions, but these are too numerous to mention here, and there's also, even within the Makuuchi division, like you're going to see here, there's also groupings of ranks, and then rankings within ranks, and that's just a chaotic mess to try to sort out. I'm sticking with the Makuuchi division since that is the top of the top. That is the MLB, the NBA, that is the pros of the pros. And also, it's the only one that's available for international broadcast, so I'm going to be focusing on those. And just know that there are groupings within these ranks and also groupings between the ranks, and it's way more complicated than I'm putting here. This is an exceedingly simplified version. The top 5 ranks in ascending order are Magashira, Kamusubi, Sekiwake, Ozeki, and Yokozuna. And for all the Japanese speakers out there, I sincerely apologize for butchering those. I really do. I'm sorry. Limitations, I do have them. A Rikishi's rank can increase or decrease based on their match wins, their tournament wins, and overall performance, with wrestlers being promoted and demoted continually. The higher the rank, the higher the salary of the Rikishi, and the greater privileges while in the stable, and overall just more glory. The highest rank is the Yokozuna. Promotion to this rank is not based on a certain criteria, but rather a committee from the Japan Sumo Association, who will review the record and performances of an Ozeki, usually one with 2 consecutive tournament wins in the past year, although this is more of a guideline than a hard and fast rule, and the committee can make the decision based on other criteria, such as total number of career wins, total number of tournament victories, and just overall performance. The Yokozuna are the embodiment of sumo, so in addition to their performance on the dohyo, they must also have demonstrated the proper character, grace, and bearing to represent the sport. Unlike the other ranks, they cannot be demoted from the rank. Once they achieve Yokozuna, they are their Yokozuna forever. However, if they start to lose a step, they will oftentimes retire, even dropping out mid-tournament, rather than face a losing record. There is no limit to the number of Yokozuna at any given point, with as many as 4 at a time, while other times there are none. 72 have ever achieved this rank. There are currently 2 in Grand Sumo. Kakuryu, who you see here, unfortunately he had to drop out of this tournament due to injury, and the Mongolian board wrestler Hakuho. The Yokozuna has many privileges compared to the other Rikishi. They have lower-ranked wrestlers acting as manservants for them. They have more relaxed training times, which I'll get to more on that in a minute. And they have a special ring entry ceremony separate from the other competitors. During this entry ceremony, they wear a coiled rope called a suna, which you see there. And that's pretty much the most distinguishing feature of a Yokozuna. You can pick them out right away. Anyway, this gives the Yokozuna his title, which means horizontal rope. Also, for some reason, if during a match a lower rank, for example a Megashira, were to defeat a Yokozuna, it is customary for the audience to throw their seat cushions into the dohyo. For the life of me, I cannot find out why people do this. I cannot find out the origin for this or what the purpose is, and also it is against the rules of the Japan Sumo Association. You shouldn't do it, but people do it anyway. I have no idea why I brought that up, but I just figured it's a cool little thing. So yeah, there you go. So if you see people start throwing their seat cushions, it's because a lower rank just beat a Yokozuna. Rikishi train and operate out of stables, so there are no freelancers, and their lives are highly regimented. The junior wrestlers start their training at about 5 in the morning, and they train without breakfast. The higher ranks will usually arrive later, around 7 a.m. or so. The highest ranks can arrive even later, usually around 8 or 9, and when they arrive, they bark out their orders to their junior associates. The training is very rigorous, but also informal. There is little in the way of training-specific techniques. I guess you can say it's more sparring and mock fights than anything else. There are some drills, for example, trying to push your opponent out of a ring. So basically, you'd have a person, a Rikishi standing in the middle of a ring, and somebody will simply try to push him out. And when that person fails, the next person will come up and try to push him out of the ring, and so on and so on and so on. But basically, the way someone learns is through experience. There's not like specific, I guess you can say, kata or anything like that. It's just, practice fighting by fighting. Eventually, the lower ranks will clear the training hall, giving room for the upper ranks. The lower ranks will then begin preparing the midday meal. Usually it's something known as chanko nabe, a soup made from seaweed and various other meats and vegetables. It's incredibly calorie dense. There's no specific recipe for it. Basically it's whatever's available in terms of meat, seafood, vegetables, and potatoes, and just whatever else they can find, they just throw it in there. And it is extremely calorie dense, and this is all washed down with copious amounts of beer and rice. The higher ranks would eat first, with the lower ranks standing around at attention as servants, eating after their superiors are finished. After the meal, there is the midday nap, and then the rest of the day is spent doing, well, depending on your rank, either nothing of importance or personal errands for the higher ranks, although the lower ranks will often spend their time cleaning and performing other tasks around the training hall. And if an upper rank needs to go out, the lower rank may accompany this individual as a servant. In case you haven't figured it out by now, rank has its privileges. During the course of a day, a Rikishi can consume upwards of 10,000 calories. Now, of course, as you can imagine, this leads to a multitude of health problems, and the lifespan of a professional Rikishi is usually that of 10 years lower than that of the typical Japanese man. Diabetes, heart disease, and other illnesses associated with obesity are extremely common. However, many consider the risks to be worth it. Alright, so that is it for the video. I've been watching sumo now for the past, this is the third tournament I've been watching, and I just sort of fell into it. For some reason, it ended up in my recommended videos here on YouTube, and I have no idea why. I have no idea why I didn't seek it out. I don't even like sports all that much in general, but for some reason, it popped up, so I've been, watching ever since, and I figured I'd share what I learned with all of you guys. Any case, that is it for the video. Please hit the like and subscribe button. More videos coming out whenever I get around to it, and have a good day. Or don't have a good day. You're adults. Have any kind of day you want. See you later.